Hey there, and welcome to the 2018 Santa Slipper Crochet Along. Together, you and I will crochet a pair of slippers that'll keep our toes toasty warm this season. The pattern and supplies list can be found at BHookedCrochet.com/slippercal, that's slipper C-A-L. You can also find that linked in the video description and right here on your screen. Well, let's begin, shall we? We're going to complete 2 soles in part 1, so you'll need to grab one skein of Peyton's Shetland Chunky in the colorway of your choice. I'm using Wine here, and then you'll also need your 5.5mm crochet hook. We're going to start off our slippers by working on the sole. So of course there are 3 different sizes, so you'll need to refer to the written instructions to get your exact number. I'll be working the small size here, so I'll start with a foundation chain of 4. Now from here, I'll skip that first chain, the one that's right next to the hook, go to the second and work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then we'll make a single crochet in each remaining chain. Now for rows 2 through 5, we'll work them in the exact same way. So for each one of those, we'll chain 1, turn our work, and then we need to work 2 single crochets in our first stitch. So that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we'll work 2 single crochets in this one here. And then we'll work 1 single crochet into every stitch until we get to the last one. Now since I'm working on this small size, I just have 1 stitch here, and when you get to that last stitch, we'll make 2 single crochets. So that was row 2. Go ahead and repeat that for rows 3, 4, and 5. So here's what our sole looks like after we finish that 5th row, and we're ready to start a pretty big repeat here. For row 6, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work and just work 1 single crochet into every stitch. Now again, that chain 1 does not count as a stitch, so I'll work my first one right there and then 1 single crochet in every stitch. Now what you'll need to do from this point on is work this repeat. So row number 6, 1 single crochet into every stitch. And we're going to work that until our sole measures a certain length. So refer to your written instructions for that. On this small size that I'm working on here, I'll crochet until it measures about 6 inches. And then we'll pick up with a little more shaping on the opposite side of the sole. Now this is what your sole looks like once you get through that big long repeat. And now we just have to finish the shaping on the opposite side here. So to do this, we'll work the same row for the next 4 rows. So we'll chain 1, turn our work, and then we need to decrease over the first 2. So we'll single crochet 2 together, starting with this very first stitch again because that chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 3. So we've made 1 decrease there at the beginning. Now I'll make 1 single crochet into every stitch until I get to the last 2. We'll decrease again. Then once you get to those last 2 stitches, we'll go ahead and single crochet 2 together. And that'll wrap up this row. Now we need to repeat that same row 3 more times. Now once you finish up that last row, you should get yourself down to the original stitch count. So I've got 3 stitches up here, and then I had 3 stitches down in my first row. Now from here, we don't need to fasten off yet. We'll create a border around the entire edge. So first things first, since there are 3 different sizes, the amount of stitches that you'll place around this oval will depend on the size that you're making. So for me, I'll evenly space 62 single crochets around the edge because I'm working on that small size. What you'll do is go ahead and chain 1, and then you'll work your first single crochet just directly down from that. Then I'll look down to this next row, and that looks like a good space for a stitch. So I'll work a single crochet there, and then work one into this row as well. There's really no exact science to this. I find though that consistency is really what gives you the best results. So if you can place your stitches sort of in the same place row after row, then it'll look the best. So I tend to find this little space here and that space there to work my single crochets when I'm working in these side rows. That gives it a nice clean look too. Now once you have all of your stitches evenly spaced around your sole, we can go ahead and fasten off. Now that you have one of your soles complete, go ahead and work on your second sole. That'll wrap it up for part 1 of this crochet along. Stay tuned for part number 2 coming in just a couple days.